Captain Jake Morrison walked across the bridge of his ship. The UHS Valkyrie was the biggest and strongest battleship that humans had ever built. It had thick armor and powerful weapons. Jake had been the captain for 3 years now. He was proud of his ship and his crew. The Valkyrie had been flying through space for 6 months. They were following a signal that came from New Haven. New Haven was a human colony world. 2 million people lived there. Families, children, workers, and farmers. All called it home. The signal had asked for help, but then it stopped 3 weeks ago. Jake stood near the main screen on the bridge. He looked at the stars ahead. Something felt wrong. In all his years as a captain, he had learned to trust his feelings. The silence from New Haven worried him more each day. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at her station. She was the communications officer. Her job was to listen for messages and send them too. Amy had short black hair and smart brown eyes. She was good at her job and Jake trusted her. "Still nothing from New Haven, Captain," Amy said. She had been trying to contact the colony every hour. No radio signals, no emergency beacons, nothing at all. Commander Nick Sullivan walked up to Jake. Nick was the second in command of the ship. He was Jake's best friend and had served with him for 10 years. Nick was tall and had gray hair at his temples. He always thought before he spoke. "Captain, maybe we should be more careful," Nick said quietly. "A whole planet does not just go silent. Something bad might have happened." Jake nodded. He knew Nick was right. But they had to know what happened to New Haven. Earth needed to know if there was danger. "How long until we reach the system?" Jake asked. 2 hours, sir," said Lieutenant Tony Garcia from the pilot station. Tony was young, but very skilled at flying the ship. He had joined the crew just 1 year ago, but he was already one of the best pilots Jake had ever seen. Jake looked around his bridge. 800 crew members lived and worked on the Valkyrie. They were soldiers, engineers, doctors, and scientists. All of them had families back on Earth. All of them trusted Jake to keep them safe. "Amy, try to contact New Haven one more time," Jake ordered. Amy pressed buttons on her station. She spoke into her microphone. "New Haven Colony, this is the UHS Valkyrie. Please respond. We received your distress signal. Please respond." They waited. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of machines. Seconds passed, then minutes. No answer came. "Nothing, Captain," Amy said. Her voice was worried now. Chief Engineer Lisa Parker stepped onto the bridge. Lisa took care of all the ship's engines and power systems. She was smart and could fix anything. Her coveralls were dirty from working in the engine room. "Captain, all systems are working perfectly," Lisa reported. "Weapons are ready, shields are at full power, the ship is ready for anything." Jake was glad to hear this, but he still felt worried. Why would New Haven send a distress signal and then go silent? What could make 2 million people stop talking to the rest of the galaxy? "Tony, prepare to drop out of faster-than-light travel," Jake ordered. "I want us to come out far from the planet. We need to see what is there before they see us." "Yes, sir," Tony replied. His hands moved quickly over the controls. The ship began to slow down. Jake could feel the change in the engines. The stars on the screen started to look normal again, instead of long streaks of light. Science Officer Ryan Clark looked up from his station. Ryan studied space and planets. He was very smart and could learn about things just by looking at them with the ship's sensors. "Captain, I am picking up something strange," Ryan said. His voice was confused. "The energy readings from the New Haven system are not normal." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "There are ships in the system, but they are not human ships. The energy they give off is completely different from anything in our databases." Jake felt his heart beat faster. Ships that were not human meant only one thing: aliens. Humans had been looking for other life in the galaxy for hundreds of years. They had never found any, until now. "How many ships?" Nick asked. Ryan checked his readings again. "At least 12 large vessels. Maybe more smaller ones. They are all around the planet." Jake made a decision. "Tony, take us behind the largest moon. Keep us hidden." The ship moved carefully through space. Jake watched the screen as New Haven came into view. What he saw made his blood turn cold. The planet looked wrong. Where 3 big cities should have been, there were only black craters. Smoke rose from the ground. The orbital stations that should have been flying around the planet were now just pieces of metal floating in space. "My God," Amy whispered. Then they saw the alien ships. They were black and smooth, shaped like sea creatures from Earth's oceans. They moved through space like living things. Some were as big as cities. Others were smaller but still larger than any human ship. The aliens were taking things from the planet. Jake could see huge machines digging into the ground. They were stealing everything valuable and leaving the planet to die. "Captain," Ryan said quietly, "I am reading no human life signs on the planet." Jake closed his eyes for a moment. 2 million people, all dead. Men, women, children, families who had worked hard to build a new life on a distant world, all gone. "Sir, what are your orders?" Nick asked. Jake looked at his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting for him to decide what to do. They were 1 ship against 12 alien vessels. The smart thing would be to run back to Earth and warn everyone. But Earth was 6 weeks away. By the time they got there and came back with help, these aliens might attack other human worlds. They might even attack Earth itself. Jake made his choice. "We are going to fight." The bridge became very quiet after Jake said they would fight. Nick looked at him with worried eyes. The other crew members stopped what they were doing and stared at their captain. "Sir, are you sure about this?" Nick asked quietly. "There are 12 of their big ships and only 1 of us." Jake understood why Nick was worried. Any smart person would be scared. But Jake had seen what the aliens did to New Haven. He could not let them do the same thing to other human worlds. "Gather all the senior officers in the meeting room," Jake ordered. "We need to make a plan." 10 minutes later, Jake sat at a table with his best officers. Nick was there along with Amy, Lisa, Ryan, and others. They all looked serious and scared. Lisa spoke first. "Captain, I have looked at the energy readings from those alien ships. Their power systems are completely different from ours. They seem to use some kind of organic technology. It is like their ships are alive." Ryan nodded and added more information. "The biggest ship is 3 times larger than our ship. It seems to be the leader. The smaller ships move around it like they are protecting it." "What about their weapons?" asked Commander Helen Brooks. Helen was in charge of tactics and fighting. She was tough and smart. She had fought in 3 wars before joining the Valkyrie. "I can see energy weapons on all their ships," Ryan replied. "But I do not know how powerful they are. I have never seen anything like them before." Amy raised her hand. "Captain, I have been listening to their communications. They do not talk like we do. They make musical sounds like singing. But I think I am starting to understand some of it." "What are they saying?" Jake asked. Amy looked down at her notes. "This is the scary part. They keep talking about feeding, grounds and soft flesh colonies. I think they have attacked other human worlds before New Haven." Everyone at the table became very quiet. If Amy was right, then humans were not just meeting aliens for the first time. They were meeting aliens, who were already hunting them. "How many human colonies might they have attacked?" Nick asked. "I do not know," Amy replied. "But they mentioned something about the 3rd feeding ground. That could mean they have destroyed at least 3 human worlds." Lisa hit the table with her fist. "We have to stop them. We cannot let them kill more innocent people." "But how?" Helen asked. "They have 50 ships and we have 1. Even if our ship is very advanced, the math does not work in our favor." Jake looked around the table at his officers. These were good people. They had joined the space fleet to protect humanity and explore the galaxy. None of them had expected to fight aliens who wanted to destroy every human they could find. "What advantages do we have?" Jake asked Helen. Helen thought for a moment. "We have surprise. They do not know we are here. We also have different fighting tactics. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We know how to fight when we are outnumbered." Ryan spoke up. "Our weapons are different from theirs too. They might not know how to defend against our plasma torpedoes and railguns." "And we have something else," Amy added. "We have anger. They killed 2 million innocent people. They destroyed families and children. That makes us dangerous. Jake smiled a little. His crew was scared, but they were also brave. They understood what was at stake. Lisa, how long can our ship fight? Jake asked. If we use all our power for weapons and shields, maybe 30 minutes of heavy fighting, Lisa replied. But Captain, if we get hit too many times, we will not be able to escape. What if we do not plan to escape? Jake asked. The room became quiet again. Everyone understood what Jake meant. This might be a one-way mission. Nick leaned forward. Jake, we have 800 crew members on this ship. They all have families waiting for them on Earth. And Earth has 20 billion people, Jake replied. If we run away now, these aliens will keep killing humans until there are none left. Someone has to make a stand. Helen studied the readings on her tablet. Captain, if we are going to do this, we need to be smart about it. We cannot just fly in and start shooting. What do you suggest? Jake asked. We hit their command ship first, Helen said. If we can destroy or damage their leader, maybe the other ships will not know what to do. Ryan nodded. That makes sense. From what I can see, all the smaller ships take orders from the big one. Amy looked up from her communications equipment. I might be able to help with that. If I can figure out more of their language, maybe I can jam their communications when we attack. How long do you need? Jake asked. Give me 4 hours to study their signals, Amy replied. Jake made his decision. We wait 4 hours. Amy works on their communications. Helen plans our attack. Lisa gets our weapons ready for the biggest fight of our lives. What about the crew? Nick asked. Do we tell them what we are planning? Jake thought about this. The crew had a right to know they might die today. But they also needed to do their jobs without being too scared to think clearly. We tell them the truth, Jake said. We tell them that we found hostile aliens who have been killing humans. We tell them that we are the only ship that can stop them from killing more innocent people. And we tell them that we are going to fight. Lisa stood up. Captain, the crew will follow you anywhere. They trust you. I hope I deserve that trust, Jake replied. Helen looked at her tactical planning screen. Captain, I have an idea for our attack. It is very dangerous, but it might work. Tell me, Jake said. We use the debris from the destroyed orbital stations as cover. We fly through the wreckage and hit them when they do not expect it. The debris will hide us from their sensors until we are very close. Ryan checked his readings. That could work. The metal from the destroyed stations is still floating around the planet. We could hide in it. But we would have to fly very close to their ships, Nick pointed out. If they see us too early, we will be trapped with nowhere to run. Jake stood up. Sometimes the most dangerous plan is the only one that works. We are going to do this. Helen, plan our attack route. Lisa, get our weapons ready. Amy, learn everything you can about how they talk to each other. What about you, Captain? Nick asked. Jake looked out the window at the alien ships floating around the dead planet. Somewhere down there, 2 million humans had died. Children who would never grow up. Parents who would never see their families again. I am going to prepare our crew for war, Jake said. 4 hours later, Jake stood on the bridge and looked at his crew. Everyone was at their stations. The ship was ready for battle. Jake had talked to all 800 crew members over the communication system. He told them about the aliens and what they had done to New Haven. He told them they were going to fight. Not one person asked to leave. Not one person said they were too scared. Every single crew member said they were ready to fight for humanity. Amy turned around from her station. Captain, I think I understand their communication system better now. When we attack, I can send confusing signals to their ships. It might make them unable to talk to each other for a few minutes. How long will that last? Jake asked. Maybe 5 minutes, 10 if we are lucky, Amy replied. Helen looked up from her tactical screen. Captain, I have planned our attack route. We fly through the debris field at high speed. We come out right next to their command ship and hit it with everything we have. Lisa checked her engineering readings. All weapons are loaded and ready. Plasma torpedoes are armed. Railguns have full power. The new antimatter missiles are ready, too. Jake had almost forgotten about the antimatter missiles. They were experimental weapons that had never been used in real fighting. The scientists on Earth were not even sure they would work, but today seemed like a good day to find out. "Tony, are you ready to fly us through that debris field?" Jake asked the pilot. Tony smiled, but Jake could see he was nervous. "Yes, sir. I have studied the flight path. It will be like flying through a storm, but I can do it." Ryan spoke from his science station. "Captain, the aliens are still taking resources from the planet. They do not seem to know we are here." "Good," Jake said. "Nick, give the order for battle stations." Nick pressed a button, and alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Red lights flashed on every deck. Crew members ran to their emergency positions. In the engine room, Lisa's team made sure all power systems were working perfectly. In the medical bay, Dr. Kate Johnson prepared for wounded crew members. "All stations report ready for battle," Nick announced. Jake sat down in his captain's chair. This was it. In a few minutes, they would either save humanity or die trying. "Tony, take us into the debris field," Jake ordered. The ship began to move. On the main screen, Jake could see pieces of destroyed space stations floating around them. Some pieces were as big as buildings. Others were small chunks of metal. Tony flew the ship between them like he was dancing. "Debris field entry in 30 seconds, Tony announced. Jake's heart was beating fast. He looked around at his crew. They all looked scared, but they also looked determined. They knew what they were fighting for. "Amy, start jamming their communications as soon as we begin our attack," Jake ordered. "Yes, sir," Amy replied. "Lisa, give us everything the engines can handle," Jake said. "You got it, Captain," Lisa answered from the engine room through the communication system. The ship entered the debris field. Immediately the ride became rough. Pieces of metal bounced off their shields. Tony's hands moved quickly over the controls, dodging the larger pieces. "Alien command ship is 2 minutes away," Helen reported. Jake could see sweat on Tony's face as he concentrated on flying. The young pilot was doing an amazing job, but the debris field was dangerous. One wrong move, and they would crash into a piece of wreckage. "Alien ships still do not see us," Ryan said. "The debris is hiding us from their sensors." 1 minute to target, Helen announced. Jake stood up. "All weapons, prepare to fire." Chief Weapons Officer Carl Hughes sat at the weapons station. Carl was an older man who had been in many battles. His hands were steady as he aimed their weapons at the alien command ship. "Weapons ready, Captain," Carl reported. 30 seconds to target, Helen said. Through the debris, Jake could see the alien command ship getting bigger on the screen. It was huge and black, shaped like some kind of sea creature. Strange lights moved along its surface. "Amy, jam their communications now," Jake ordered. Amy pressed buttons on her station. "Jamming signal sent, Captain." 15 seconds, Helen counted down. The Valkyrie burst out of the debris field like a rocket. Suddenly, the alien command ship was right in front of them. It was so big it filled the entire screen. "Fire everything," Jake shouted. Carl pressed the firing controls. Plasma torpedoes shot out from the ship like bright stars. Railgun projectiles moved so fast they could barely be seen. The experimental antimatter missiles launched last, leaving trails of energy behind them. The weapons hit the alien ship with tremendous force. Explosions covered its surface. Parts of the alien ship were torn away and thrown into space. The creature-like vessel shook and rolled from the impacts. "Direct hits on the command ship," Carl reported. "Their shields are down." But the aliens were not finished. The other alien ships began to turn toward the Valkyrie. Energy weapons started, firing at them from all directions. "Incoming fire," Helen shouted. Tony threw the ship into a sharp turn, but one of the alien energy beams hit their side. The whole ship shook violently. Lights flickered on the bridge. "Hull breach on deck 7, Lisa reported. "We lost power to the rear shields." More alien weapons fired at them. Tony flew the ship up and down, left and right, trying to avoid the beams. But there were too many alien ships shooting at them. Another energy beam hit the Valkyrie. This time, the lights went out for a few seconds. When they came back on, Jake could smell smoke. "Damage report," he called. We lost 2 weapon systems, Carl said, but the main guns are still working. Keep firing at their command ship, Jake ordered. Carl launched more missiles at the big alien vessel. The ship was already badly damaged, but it was still fighting. Its own weapons were shooting back at the Valkyrie. Ryan looked up from his station with excitement. Captain, 3 of the smaller alien ships just crashed into each other. Amy's jamming signal is working. It was true. Without being able to communicate, some of the alien ships were flying into each other. But there were still many ships left, and they were all shooting at the Valkyrie. We need to finish off their command ship, Helen said. If we can destroy it, maybe the others will retreat. Jake looked at their weapons display. They still had some antimatter missiles left, but not many. And the alien ships were hitting them harder and harder. Carl, load our biggest antimatter missile, Jake ordered. We are going to ram it down their throat. Loading now, Captain, Carl replied. Another alien energy beam hit the ship. This time the damage was serious. Several crew members were thrown to the ground. Jake held on to his chair to keep from falling. Captain, we have fires on 3 decks, Dr. Johnson reported. I have wounded crew members coming to medical bay. Jake felt angry. His crew was getting hurt and killed because these aliens thought they could destroy human worlds without a fight. It was time to show them they were wrong. Tony, take us closer to their command ship, Jake ordered. Sir, that is very dangerous, Nick warned. So is letting these aliens live, Jake replied. Tony flew the ship closer to the alien command vessel. Enemy fire was hitting them from all sides now, but Jake did not care. He wanted that command ship destroyed. Fire the antimatter missile, Jake shouted. Carl pressed the launch button. The missile flew straight toward the alien command ship. It hit right in the center of the vessel. The explosion was bigger than anything Jake had ever seen. The alien command ship was torn apart completely. Pieces of it flew in all directions. The blast was so bright that the main screen went white for several seconds. When Jake could see again, the alien command ship was gone. Nothing was left but floating debris. Command ship destroyed, Carl announced. But their victory came with a price. The Valkyrie was badly damaged and still surrounded by angry alien ships. The alien command ship was destroyed, but the battle was far from over. 8 alien ships were still left, and they were very angry. Their energy weapons fired at the Valkyrie without stopping. Each hit made the human ship shake and caused more damage. Jake held onto his chair as another energy beam struck them. Sparks flew from broken control panels on the bridge. The lights flickered on and off. Damage report, Jake called out. Lisa's voice came through the communication system. She sounded worried. Captain, we have lost main power to 3 decks. The rear armor is almost gone. We have fires in the engine room, but my team is fighting them. Dr. Johnson's voice joined in. Medical bay is full, Captain. 43 crew members are wounded. Some are badly hurt. Jake felt pain in his heart. These were his people getting hurt and killed, but they had to keep fighting. If they gave up now, these aliens would go on to attack other human worlds. Carl, how many weapons do we still have? Jake asked. Carl checked his weapon systems. Many of his screens were cracked or dark. We have lost half our railguns, sir. We still have some plasma torpedoes and 2 antimatter missiles left. Amy, can you still jam their communications? Jake asked. Amy was bleeding from a cut on her forehead, but she was still working at her station. The jamming signal is getting weaker, Captain. They are starting to work together again. It was true. The alien ships were beginning to move in formation again. They were learning to fight without talking to each other. Soon they would be coordinated again. Helen looked at her tactical screen. Captain, they are surrounding us. In 2 minutes, we will have nowhere to run. Jake looked at the main screen. The alien ships were moving into a circle around the Valkyrie. Their weapons were charging up for what looked like a final attack. Jake knew his ship could not survive much more damage. Nick, what do you think? Jake asked his old friend. Nick looked around the damaged bridge. We hurt them badly, Jake, but they are still stronger than us. We might not win this fight. Jake understood what Nick meant. The Valkyrie had destroyed the alien command ship and 3 smaller vessels, but 8 ships were still left and the human ship was falling apart. "Tony, can we still run?" Jake asked. Tony shook his head. "No, sir. They damaged our faster-than-light engines. We are stuck in this system." Jake felt the weight of command on his shoulders. 800 crew members were counting on him to save them, but more than that, all of humanity was counting on him to stop these aliens. Ryan suddenly looked up from his science station with excitement. "Captain, I found something important." "What is it?" Jake asked. "I have been studying their communication system while Amy jammed it. I think I found a weakness. Their ships all connect to each other through harmonic frequencies. If we can send the right signal, we might be able to confuse them permanently." Amy turned around quickly. "Ryan is right. I noticed the same thing. But we would have to use all our communication power to send the signal. It would leave us completely defenseless." "How long would the effect last?" Jake asked. "I do not know," Ryan admitted. "Maybe a few minutes, maybe longer. But it would make their ships unable to work together." Helen studied her tactical screen. "Captain, if their ships cannot coordinate, we might be able to destroy them one at a time." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was hurt and scared, but they were still fighting. The ship was damaged and failing, but it was still flying. They had one chance left. "How long do we have before they finish surrounding us?" Jake asked. 1 minute, Helen replied. Jake made his decision. "Amy, prepare the harmonic disruption signal. Ryan, help her get the frequency exactly right." "Yes, sir," both officers replied. Carl looked up from his weapons station. "Captain, what about our weapons? If we use all power for the signal, I will not be able to fire." "After we send the signal, we will have all our power back for weapons," Jake explained. "We just have to survive long enough to use them." Lisa's voice came through the communication system again. "Captain, I can give you one big power surge for this signal, but after that our engines might fail completely." Jake understood. This was their last chance. If the plan did not work, the Valkyrie would be destroyed and everyone on board would die. 30 seconds until they complete the circle, Helen announced. The alien ships were moving into their final positions. Jake could see their weapons charging up. In a few moments, they would fire all at once and destroy the human ship. "Amy, is the signal ready?" Jake asked. "Ready, Captain," Amy replied. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "Ryan, are you sure about the frequency?" "As sure as I can be, sir," Ryan answered. Jake stood up from his chair. This was the moment that would decide everything. Either humanity would win its first battle against aliens, or the Valkyrie would become a floating grave. "Send the signal," Jake ordered. Amy pressed the controls. All the lights on the bridge became very bright as every bit of power went into the communication system. The ship's engines became quiet. The weapons stopped working. Everything went into sending one signal toward the alien ships. For a moment, nothing happened. The alien ships continued moving into position. Their weapons continued charging. Then something strange began to occur. The alien ships started moving in the wrong directions. 2 of them turned toward each other instead of toward the Valkyrie. Another one began spinning in circles. "It is working," Ryan shouted. The alien ships were becoming confused. Without their communication system, they could not tell each other what to do. Some ships fired their weapons at empty space. Others crashed into floating debris. "Power is back," Lisa announced. "All systems are working again." "Carl, target the closest alien ship," Jake ordered. Carl's weapons came back online. He aimed at an alien ship that was flying in circles, unable to control itself. He fired plasma torpedoes and railgun rounds. The alien ship exploded in a ball of fire. "Target destroyed," Carl reported. But Jake could see that the harmonic disruption was already getting weaker. The alien ships were starting to fly normally, again. They had maybe 2 more minutes before the aliens would be coordinated again. "Target the next ship," Jake ordered. The Valkyrie fired at another confused alien vessel. This one exploded too. 6 alien ships were left. They were starting to work together again, but they were still confused and disorganized. "Keep firing," Jake shouted. The battle became a race against time. The Valkyrie had to destroy as many alien ships as possible before they could fight back properly. The Valkyrie kept firing at the confused alien ships. Carl destroyed 2 more vessels before the aliens started working together again. Now only 4 alien ships were left, but they were angry and desperate. The remaining alien ships began shooting at the Valkyrie with everything they had. Energy beams hit the human ship from multiple directions. The bridge shook so hard that several crew members fell down. "Hull breach on Deck 5, Lisa reported. "We are losing atmosphere fast." Jake could hear the fear in Lisa's voice. The ship was dying around them, but they were so close to victory. Only 4 alien ships remained. "Carl, do we still have those?" "Antimatter missiles?" Jake asked. "2 left, Captain," Carl replied. "But if I miss, we will not get another chance." Through the smoke on the bridge, Jake could see one of the alien ships moving toward them. It was bigger than the others and had more weapons. As Jake watched, the alien ship began charging what looked like a very powerful weapon. Ryan looked up from his station with alarm. "Captain, that ship is charging the same type of weapon they used to destroy the cities on New Haven." Jake's blood went cold. The aliens were preparing to use their planet-killer weapon on the Valkyrie. If that weapon fired, his ship and everyone on it would be vaporized instantly. "How long until it fires?" Jake asked. 2 minutes, maybe less, Ryan replied. Jake looked around his damaged bridge. His crew was hurt and scared, but they were still fighting. They had come so far and sacrificed so much. He would not let these aliens win now. "Tony, can you get us closer to that ship?" Jake asked. Tony wiped blood from his eyes and studied his controls. "Sir, our engines are badly damaged. I can give you 1 more high-speed run, but after that we will not be able to move." "That is all I need," Jake said. "Get us close enough to ram that antimatter missile down their throat." Nick grabbed Jake's arm. "Jake, if we get too close and that planet-killer weapon fires, it will destroy us too." "Then we better make sure it does not fire," Jake replied. Jake turned to Amy. "Can you send another jamming signal? Just enough to disrupt their weapon?" Amy checked her equipment. Most of her communication systems were damaged, but some were still working. "I can try, Captain, but I do not know if it will work." "Do it," Jake ordered. The Valkyrie began moving toward the alien ship with the planet-killer weapon. The other 3 alien ships tried to stop them, firing their energy weapons continuously. Each hit made the human ship shake and caused more damage. 90 seconds until their weapon fires, Ryan announced. Jake could see the alien weapon growing, brighter as it charged up. It looked like a small star getting ready to explode. "Amy, jam their weapon systems now," Jake ordered. Amy sent out another signal from her damaged equipment. For a moment, the alien weapon flickered and dimmed. But then it started charging again, even brighter than before. "The jamming is not working," Amy said. "Their weapon is too well protected." 60 seconds until firing. Ryan counted down. The Valkyrie was getting closer to the alien ship, but they were taking heavy damage. Jake could hear explosions throughout his ship. Crew members were calling for help on the communication system. "Carl, load the antimatter missile," Jake ordered. "We are going to end this." "Missile loaded, Captain," Carl replied. 30 seconds. "Until their weapon fires," Ryan said. Jake could see the alien weapon was almost ready. It was so bright now that it hurt to look at it. In a few moments it would fire and destroy the Valkyrie. "Tony, get us as close as you can," Jake said. Tony pushed the engines beyond their limits. The ship shot forward toward the alien vessel like a bullet. The alien ship grew larger and larger on the screen. 15 seconds, Ryan announced. Jake stood up. This was it. Everything depended on the next few seconds. "Carl, fire the antimatter missile directly into their weapon," Jake shouted. Carl pressed the firing button. The antimatter missile launched from the Valkyrie and flew straight toward the alien ship's charging weapon. 10 seconds, Ryan counted. The missile hit the alien weapon just as it was about to fire. The explosion was incredible. The alien ship's own planet-killer weapon exploded inside the ship, tearing it apart from the inside. The blast was so powerful that it destroyed 2 other alien ships that were nearby. Only 1 alien ship was left. But the explosion had damaged the Valkyrie too. The ship was thrown backward by the blast. Systems failed all over the vessel. The Yaur lights went out completely. When the emergency lights came on, Jake looked around the bridge. Several of his crew members were unconscious, others were badly hurt, but they were alive. "Damage report," Jake called weakly. Lisa's voice came through the communication system, but it was hard to hear. "Captain, we have lost main power. Life support is failing. We have maybe 2 hours of air left." "What about the last alien ship?" Jake asked. Ryan checked his sensors. "It is running away, Captain. It is leaving the system." Jake felt relief wash over him. They had won. One human ship had defeated an entire alien fleet. The aliens were running away, and they would think twice before attacking humans again. "Amy, can you send a message to Earth?" Jake asked. Amy tried. Her communication equipment, but most of it was broken. "I can send a message drone, Captain. It will take 2 months to reach Earth, but it will get there." "Do it," Jake ordered. "Tell Earth about the aliens. Tell them how to fight them. Tell them that humans do not give up." Amy prepared the message drone with all the information they had learned about the aliens. The drone launched from the dying ship and began its long journey to Earth. Nick sat down next to Jake. "We did it, old friend. We actually did it." Jake looked at the main screen. The last alien ship was disappearing into hyperspace. Around them floated the wreckage of the alien fleet. The Valkyrie had won, but the cost was high. "Lisa, can we repair the ship?" Jake asked. "No, Captain," Lisa replied sadly. "We are too badly damaged. The faster-than-light engines are destroyed. We are stuck here." Jake understood what this meant. The crew of the Valkyrie would never see Earth again. They would never see their families or friends. But they had saved humanity from an alien threat. Dr. Johnson's voice came through the communication system. "Captain, I need to tell you something. We lost 68 crew members in the battle. They died fighting bravely." Jake closed his eyes. 68 good people had given their lives to protect humanity. He would remember every one of them. "Attention. All crew members," Jake announced over the ship's communication system. "We have won the battle. The alien fleet is destroyed. Earth is safe. We have shown the galaxy that humans will fight for their freedom and will never surrender." Throughout the ship, the surviving crew members cheered. They were hurt and tired, but they were proud. They had done something that seemed impossible. "Captain," Ryan said quietly. "What happens now?" Jake looked around his damaged bridge at his brave crew. "Now we wait. The message drone will reach Earth in 2 months. When it does, Earth will start building a fleet. When the aliens come back, humanity will be ready." "And what about us?" Nick asked. Jake smiled sadly. "We keep the ship running as long as we can. We study everything we learned about the aliens. And we remember that we were the first humans to show the galaxy that we will not go quietly into the dark." 2 months later, the message drone reached Earth. The leaders of humanity read about the battle at New Haven and the sacrifice of the Valkyrie. They began building the largest fleet in human history. When the aliens returned 2 years later with a massive invasion force, they found humans ready for war. Every ship in the human fleet carried the name Valkyrie somewhere on its hull. Every crew member knew the story of Captain Jake Morrison and his 800 heroes. The aliens had thought humans were weak and easy to destroy. They learned, too, late, that when you hurt humanity, humans will find you. And they will make you pay. The ground had trembled when the lone human battleship attacked without warning. But it was the aliens who learned to fear that trembling, because it was the sound of humanity refusing to die.